You can call me Mystic Mac because I predict these things.
Welcome back to the channel, guys. It's been a long 4 weeks without a UFC event, but it's been well worth the wait because we are in for an absolute banger. The most anticipated rematch of the year, the fight nobody asked for, but we're getting anyways. Mackenzie Dern versus Amanda Ribas. Nah, I'm playing. A lot of people are clowning this fight. I think it's a decent fight. I think it's a decent card. A lot of people are giving them a hard time about this, but I think this is going to be a fun fight. Very even fight. Very tough fight for both of them. Like I said, this is a rematch. 5 years in the making. These two ladies fought back in October of 2019, so a little over 5 years ago. Back when they were both pretty green, pretty young in their careers. They've both seen a significant amount of improvement since then, in my opinion. Amanda Ribas, she has gone 5-4 since they first fought, and Mackenzie Dern has gone 7-4 since they last fought. So, like I said, seeing a lot of improvement between these two ladies. I think it's going to be kind of a night and day difference in performances from the first fight, where Amanda Ribas did win by decision. Mackenzie Dern looked a little green and kind of lost on the feet. Amanda Ribas wasn't the most polished fighter that we see today, so I think this is going to be a really good main event. I think the odds are a little too wide for my liking. Minus 190 for Amanda Ribas, and I think plus 160 for Mackenzie Dern. So I'm going to get into each fighter's style, their game plans, and kind of how I see this fight playing out, and who's going to get the dub for the first main event of 2025. Let's get into it. Amanda Ribas, coming off of a fight against Rose Namajunas. Something to note about Amanda Ribas is she's been jumping up and down in weight her entire career. Last fight was at 125. This next fight's going to be at 115. So we look back at her record. She was 125 versus Namajunas, 115 versus Pinheiro, 125 versus Barber, 125 versus Araujo, Sermonara 125, Jandiroba 115, Rodriguez 115. Then you look at Mackenzie Dern. She's been locked in at 115 the last, 7 fights that I looked up. She was fighting at 115 pounds. So something to take into consideration. She's got that weight class down to a T at this point. Hasn't been moving up, hasn't moving down. She's locked and committed at 115. You can't really say the same about Amanda Ribas. So Amanda Ribas, like I said, just coming off of a loss to Rose Namajunas. 5-round affair back in March. Mackenzie Dern last fought Lupita Godinez in a very good fight back in August, so she's going to be the one turning around. What is that? 6 months ago, turning around. Amanda Ribas almost out for 10 months. So before that, Ribas fought Luana Pinheiro, was losing that fight before she got the spinning wheel kick and the TKO win, and then before that, she got ground and pound knocked out by Macy Barber. So not looking the best as of late. Granted, it is Rose Namajunas, but Rose Namajunas had a lot of success on the feet, was able to hold her down on the ground. Just not a very good look all around for Amanda Ribas. She's very talented, pretty good striking on the feet, good snap to her punches, good footwork, black belt in jiu-jitsu. Decent wins on her record, has a decision win over Viviane Araujo. Like I said, just comeback win over Luana Pinheiro. But other than that, Vernon Jandiroba 3 years ago just doesn't have a lot of marquee wins that I would say. Looking at Mackenzie Dern, also kind of a 50-50 record, so to speak, coming off of last 4 fights she's 2-2, but her only losses are Jessica Andrade, Amanda Lemos within that time frame, and she looked really good in her last fight. But Amanda Ribas is the favorite in this. I think she's a minus 190 favorite going into this. Their first fight went 3 rounds. Amanda Ribas was just the better striker the entire time. Was able to stay safe when it went to the ground. She was on top. Mackenzie Dern swiveling her hips, looking for submissions, looking for anything that she can get. She was just very green on the feet. You could tell back then, 5 years ago, she was wasn't really setting her punches up, was leaving herself wide open. Her chin's still kind of up in the air, but back in the day, I think it's night and day difference between how Mackenzie Dern looked back then versus how she looked in her last fight against Lupita Godinez. But I just think that I think that Mackenzie Dern, when I first heard this fight, I thought, of course Amanda Ribas is probably going to win this. She's a black belt. She's the better striker. But the more that I looked at Mackenzie Dern, the more that I just see a market improvement in her striking. Her last fight against her last fight against Lupita Godinez, and I mean this in the most polite way possible, she looked like she was throwing punches like a dude in that fight. Some of those combinations she was throwing, just throwing a jab and a right cross, I was just like, man, she is like, if she lands with some of these punches, like she's gonna put Lupita's lights out. She just looked much better on the feet, and she was just throwing with tons of power. She's one of those people that she's not afraid to go out of position, to overswing, to really commit to her strikes, because if she gets taken down, she's even more of a threat off of her back than she is on her feet. And I think that she's becoming a threat on the feet. I really do. And I just think that she's got that dog in her. I think that there's no quit in the girl. She's very tough. And I think she's going to bring it to Amanda Ribas in this fight. And I think she's going to win. I really do. Looking at her last fight against Lupita, like I said, she was taking a few punches on the feet, but she was just throwing with a lot of heat. Getting a lot of respect from Lupita early, getting her takedowns. I remember she was on her back. She threatened with an armbar. She was just looking very well-rounded in this fight. Beat Lupita by decision. The fight before that, she took that on 4 weeks' notice against Amanda Lemos. She was just a very good, powerful striker on the feet. I would say that she won that first round. She ended that round on top, threatening on top, landing a little bit of damage, looking for submissions. The second round, she gets clocked by Amanda Lemos. She looks like she's out on her feet. She's on her, it looks like she was out on the ground. She's on her back, like not the best game face, kind of kicking away at Lemos. She ends up surviving. It goes to the ground again. She's on her back. She sweeps, gets on top, and really digs herself out of that hole against Amanda Lemos, where, it was a few strikes later, she probably would have been TKO'd by the ref. So I call it 1-1 going into the third round. And in the third round, she ends up rocking Amanda Lemos, putting her on the ground and controlling the majority of the third round. She lost a decision. I guess the refs gave Lemos the first round and the second round, but I think you could argue that Mackenzie Dern won that fight. She did get rocked by Amanda Lemos, but she bit down on her mouthpiece, and she pulled through, and she ended up hurting the girl in the next round, putting her on the ground and dominating the third round. So there's really no quit in her. Before that, she was TKO by Jessica Andrade. Again, she was never out. Yeah, she was she was wobbled, she was dazed on her back. The ref called it off, but again, she was never out. And I just don't see Amanda Ribas putting that type of damage on Mackenzie Dern to where she's, getting TKO'd. I just don't see that happening. I see Amanda Ribas maybe landing a few punches, but I see Mackenzie Dern thrown with a lot more intent and a lot more power. She's not going to be afraid if Amanda Ribas takes her down. I'm a little concerned that Amanda Ribas will be able to nullify the jiu-jitsu, kind of like she did in the first fight. She was able to just kind of sit and guard and keep her hands in, not get caught in anything, not get swept, because again, she's a black belt in her own right. But I just think that Mackenzie Dern, she's been busier. She's 7-4 versus Amanda Ribas is 5-4 since the last time they fought. I think she's been fighting the better comp. Like I said, Lupita Godinez, Amanda Lemos, Jessica Andrade, Angela Hill, she has a win over. Lost a majority decision to Yan Jonan, who I think is really, really good. Beat Tisha Pennington, lost a decision to Marina Rodriguez. Marina Rodriguez put Amanda Ribas out. And that's the other thing, is Amanda Ribas is taking a lot of damage. You don't see a lot of female fighters getting KO'd in MMA, and she's been KO'd like 3 times now. To Macy Barber, Marina Rodriguez, and to Polyana Viana, which is that's just not a good look to be getting KO'd by Polyana Viana, and that was back in 2015. So I think Mackenzie Dern is the tougher of the two. I think she's the bigger jiu-jitsu threat on the ground, and I think that she's willing to get into an absolute firefight on the feet. And I think she carries more power in her hands, and she's willing to throw it. I think that Amanda Ribas, she'll stick to her, her technical 1-2. She'll throw spinning back kicks, things like that. But Mackenzie Dern, she looks like she's really starting to sit down on her punches, throw straight combinations with a lot of power. Her chin does come up in the air a lot of times in the middle of these engagements, which is concerning. Again, not as concerned because I don't think that Amanda Ribas carries the same type of power as these other ladies that have, put Mackenzie Dern on her butt. But still concerning nonetheless. But looking at the improvements that I've seen in her striking just between, the Andrade and Lemos fights to the Lupita Godinez fight, I feel like, she's going to be learning to tuck her chin. She's only going to be getting better fight after fight. Just in between the striking that I saw in Lemos versus Lupita Godinez, just seeing kind of a night and day improvements from her. So I think that she's going to be able to hurt Amanda Ribas. I think that she's going to get a lot more respect in the stand-up realm than she did in their fight 5 years ago. And I think that she's better on the ground. I think that she's used to fighting at 115. She's used to going 5 rounds. I think this is the 4th time she's gone 5 rounds. She's fought the most recently. I just think she's tougher. I think she's more of a dog. I've kind of always thought that if she just cleaned up her striking just a little bit, a little bit better defense, was able to threaten a little bit more on the feet, get a little bit more respect, open up her takedowns, maybe have people shooting in on her just because they're tired of, getting pressed against the cage, getting heat thrown at them. I felt like she could be a real force, and she does look like she's starting to improve her takedowns too. A lot of times you'll see these jiu-jitsu specialists with no takedowns. We saw that recently with Crone Gracie. It's like, dude, you've only got a guard game. And if you can't get the fight to the ground because you got 0 wrestling and you got no striking to get it there, then like you're kind of SOL. I mean, you're not going to win, and the fans sure as hell aren't going to win unless, you got Bryce Mitchell dunking you on your head. But Mackenzie Dern is going to be at a 3-inch reach disadvantage. But again, the way that she kind of steps into her combinations, she's not exactly a point striker who's relying on her reach at all. She's really just kind of stepping in, biting down on her mouthpiece and just, throwing hard punches. So I'm going to go with Mackenzie Dern. I think she's the improving fighter. They're both the same age, but I'm seeing a lot more improvement from her fight to fight than I am from Amanda Ribas. And I just think that she's going to surprise a lot of people with her striking, especially the fact that I don't think she's going to be afraid of what's really coming back at her from Amanda Ribas. And if Amanda Ribas is getting held down on the ground by Rose Namajunas the way she did in her last fight, then I think that Mackenzie Dern would have a lot more success than that if she gets her to the ground. Amanda Ribas, she likes to do this, arm in headlock type of throw, which I very low percentage in MMA, but somehow she keeps getting it done. I just think if she does that to somebody like Mackenzie Dern, she's going to get her back taken. She's going to get reversed. She likes to roll for knee bars from standing, just kind of gives up a lot of positions grappling wise that I feel like Mackenzie Dern would take advantage of much better than a lot of these other fighters that have faced Ribas in the past. So I see a lot of holes there, and I see a lot of opportunities in Ribas' game. Low IQ moves in the grappling department. Her chin is suspect. Not seeing the same kind of improvements that I'm seeing from her as I'm seeing from Dern. I think Dern's a better grappler. If it does go to the ground, I think she can win rounds that way. I think that she can be busier on the feet, just throwing a lot more volume, a lot more power, winning on damage. And I wouldn't be surprised if she rocks Ribas. She seems to, have a propensity to get chinned in her fights. Mackenzie Dern has hurt people on the feet before. She hurt Amanda Lemos in her last fight. I think it was what was her name? Amanda Cooper, that she knocked down early in her career and choked her out. So I see a lot more finishing potential from Mackenzie Dern than I do from Amanda Ribas. I think she looked a lot better in her last fight, and I think that this is her weight class. She's used to going 5 rounds, and I just think that she's just the tougher fighter, no quitting her, and I think she's a great underdog in this fight to upset Amanda Ribas. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know if I'm crazy. Let me know if what I'm saying makes sense. But let me know in the comments. And again, appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks.